Let us all welcome our new robot overlords. Algorithms are affecting nearly every aspect of our presence online. They decide what we see from our friends, what pops up when we're looking to buy something, and what new media is recommended to us. And these things have created some interesting problems in the 21st century. We're now more connected than we ever have been, but the desire to find like-minded people has caused us to be increasingly polarized. There are now more people using social media, but the algorithms for these platforms are making it harder for artists to actually reach their audiences. And finally, we're entering an age where artificial intelligence can start making original music. And that can have some interesting consequences on the music industry. So let's see how these algorithms affect our everyday life and examine exactly how they do so. Let's first take a look at how algorithms operate on social media platforms. If we take a step back and think about the main goal of social media platforms, it will help us figure out what these algorithms are doing. The main goal of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and other social media platforms is for you to spend as much time as possible on their websites. Well, how do they accomplish that? They use four main pieces of data to keep you on your website. And these four things are how often you have interacted with this type of post, how often you and everyone else is hidden in this post, the level of engagement that your page and post has received, and the performance of each post among users that have already viewed it. So what are the consequences of these parameters? Well, it's led to some interesting changes in our social lives where we interact more with ideas and content that we like and agree with and hide the ideas that we disagree with or dislike. So this can be shown in real life by a study done in two cities in Colorado, Colorado Springs and Boulder. In Boulder, it's a city that's more liberal than normal, and so when they ask questions to individuals, their answers tended to be more liberal. And then after discussing it in a group among their peers in Boulder, their answers fell farther to the left. The same thing happened in a city called Colorado Springs, where people there are more conservative than normal. So when they were asked questions, their answers tend to be more right-leaning, and then when they discussed it in a group, their answers fell even further to the right. The idea behind this is that if you're only hearing an argument on one side, you're more likely to get pulled to that side. The same idea can be applied to social media platforms, where we only see the content we like and the ideas that we like. So, what the hell does this have to do with music? Well, we see these algorithms affecting our online fan bases as well as the new music we are listening to. I think it's important to fully understand the goals and consequences of a platform we are using before we try to figure out how to better engineer it for our own goals. So now that we have a better understanding of these social media platforms, let's try to figure out how we can best use these algorithms for our own fan bases. The most important way to create and sustain fans is to have engaging content on a regular basis. Well, that's obvious. But as musicians, where a song can take months to write, mix, master, set up promo, along with the years spent practicing your instrument, learning music theory with how harmonies, melodies, and rhythm all work together, it can be a lot. It can feel next to impossible creating meaningful content on a consistent basis that relies solely on the music you create. But because we know the four key factors that Facebook relies upon for their users, we can start to think of new ideas and ways to meet the goal of Facebook, keep users online as possible, while also meeting your own goal. Develop a larger fan base that engages with your content. One of the worst things an artist can do today to grow their brand online is by creating spam. It has low user engagement, is most likely to be hidden by your fan base, and it brings down the overall engagement on your page, and it has a next to zero chance of creating new fans. The idea that you always need to be on your fan base's mind is important, but you have to accomplish that goal while still keeping your own brand intact. For example, two guitarists, a jazz and metal guitarist, while both playing the same instrument, should have a stark contrast between how their pages look, to match exactly what their audience wants to see online. Remember, we want to play into what our audience likes, not into what we're doing every day. So while these algorithms are detrimental for being exposed to new ideas, they are great for being exposed to new content. For example, I am not a fan of country music. I'm sorry. So I don't want to see any country music when I'm browsing online. So if one of my favorite jazz artists posts himself playing a pop country tune and he doesn't do anything jazzy with it, I probably am going to hide that post and it's going to hurt the overall engagement on his page. So he showed up on my newsfeed, which is good, he stayed on my mind, but it's bad because I hid the post and that hurts one of the main algorithms Facebook uses. The idea behind finding content based off what we already like has led to one of Spotify's most popular features, Discover Weekly. I can't remember the last time I went to a record store and decided to buy a new album based solely off the cover art. Today I let friends show me and tell me what I should listen to through social media, which is chosen by algorithms, and Spotify's Discover Weekly, which is chosen by a different type of algorithm. So let's take a look at how Spotify's weekly playlist algorithm works so we can figure out how to manipulate it in our own favor. Spotify uses 3 different recommendation models to determine what new music to show you. These 3 are collaborative filtering models, natural language processing, and audio models. Well, what do all of these mean? Collaborative filtering is just a complicated way of saying it compares bands that you like and to bands that another person likes and sees if there's any crossover. If there is, it's going to recommend bands that you haven't listened to yet, but the other fan has to you, and vice versa. The natural language processing algorithm takes a look at words associated with the music. It will scan the track's metadata, the lyrics, the engineers that worked on the song, the writers, and the record company, and it will scan the internet for any mentions of that song. Then it matches the song based on the language used in it. For example, if an engineer worked on one song and then he worked on another, it might recommend that other song the engineer worked on for your next weekly playlist. Or if a blog writes about one of your songs and describes it as peaceful, it will look for other songs described as peaceful moving forward. The last algorithm analyzes audio to figure out the time signature, mode, tempo, loudness, and then matches other songs based off of that. So if I go through a heavy Rush binge one week, with constant time signature changes, it might recommend Porcupine Tree the next week. This algorithm helps get newer artists out there that don't have many fans and don't have much media online about them, just by looking at its audio files. Alright, why is this helpful? Well, it goes back to understanding how these algorithms work so we can manipulate them to get your music heard. One of my least favorite questions to answer is, so what type of music do you sound like? Because it's hard to put yourself in a box. But understanding this question is key to influencing Spotify's algorithm. If you're able to say you sound like the band Funky Duck in every piece of online media you do, it's way more likely you're going to show up in the Funky Ducks fans' weekly playlist. So now that we have a better understanding how these algorithms are affecting both our fan bases along with how we discover new music, what's next? Well, we are now entering an age where algorithms and artificial intelligence can start making new music. There are multiple companies diving into the business of music creation, and they're using artificial intelligence to do so. With Jukedeck, you can create a song that fits the mood of a video you just created with just a press of a button. With Alice, you have a duet partner to play piano with you whenever you want. And with Abbey Road Red, you can sing a melody into a microphone and have it put out a brass section to back up that melody. These processes aren't replacing music just yet, with Ed Newton-Rex, CEO of Jukedeck, saying, "Now it's just good enough in some cases." But it does paint a picture where one of the last bastions of humanity, creativity, is slowly being taken over by machines. Right now you can see and hear one of the songs Jukedeck made for me, and it's incredible to think where the program like this will be in 10 years. Another company using artificial intelligence and music is AI Music. They're using it to shape songs. So if you want an acoustic version of a song you just listened to, it will do that. Or if you want a jazz, rock, country, or other styles of music, it will automatically do that for you. So if we combine these algorithms and artificial intelligence systems with something like Shazam, it could be used to quickly create hits. Shazam is used right now by record companies to figure out what songs are picking up traction. And if we have an artificial intelligence system that can quickly go through that data along with making songs, we might be entering a world where all the top pop songs are made by machines. And as algorithms continue to influence and change our lives, I once again welcome our new robot overlords. Hey guys, I hope you liked the video. If you want to learn more about artificial intelligence and get terrified, check out Nick Bostrom's book, Superintelligence. It will make you scared for the rest of the life. Also, check out Porcupine Tree's Sound of Music. Kind of talks about this a little bit. But it was like 15 years ago, so like they're way ahead of the game. And please hit like, subscribe, follow me, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that. Sweet, see you next week.